duly posted. Is there a motion to close the December term of our court? So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Is there a motion to open the January term of our court?
You'll
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the bailiff, please open court.
All right. The Dallas County Commissioners Court is now in session for the January 2013 session. With the Honorable Judge Hager presiding, please remain standing for the invocation.
And our invocation today will be given by Purchasing Director Shannon Brown, as our preacher that was scheduled to come in has come down with laryngitis. Before Shannon speaks on behalf of all of the court that was here last year and our county employees, welcome to your first meeting of the Commissioners Court. We are honored and excited to serve you.
Thank you very much.
Shannon?
Thank you, Judge. And yes, Commissioner General, welcome today. I know that this afternoon we're going to be having some budget discussions. And so in the spirit of that, I have some additional numbers for you to consider this morning. For the 2013 year, this Commissioner's Court will have 12 months, or 52 weeks, 365 days, or 8,760 hours, or you could consider it 525,600 minutes, or if you wanted to go a little further, 31,536,000 seconds to work this year. When you see it broken down like that, you can also sometimes just think those are big things that are hard to accomplish. And we can only maybe see that as a number, but as we pray today, I would ask everyone to consider how you would use that time that you have given this year. Let us bow. Gracious Lord and all-powerful God, thank you for new beginnings and for the opportunity to look ahead with excitement and awe. Every new day is a gift, and we are humbled that you have granted us another chance to seek you. As this Commissioner's Court starts its new session, may patience guide discussions, may wisdom be found in all decisions, and may respect be shown to all. You have plans for each of us as individuals and as a community of servants to Dallas County. As the prophet Jeremiah reminded the Israelites in their exile to Babylon, "For I know the plans I have for you. They are plans for good and not for disaster, to give you a future and hope." Keep us moving on the path of hope each moment of each day this new year, secure in the knowledge that your plans are perfect and that your love is everlasting. Help us not to simply count on progress in days and hours, but to measure our success in how we serve you. This prayer is lifted up to you in humbleness and to the grace you have given to us.
Welcome to this meeting of the Dallas County Commissioners Court. Our court is comprised of several sections. I believe it's comprised of several sections. The first section is resolution. Here from the trail, a resolution in a moment. Then we deal with our items on our formal agenda. We deal with our briefing session, hear from public speakers, and finally, we have a closed session. Originally started today, our 1:30, we will adjourn for our 1:30 budget briefing session. That we'll have one today and begin having those regularly as we begin to tackle the budget for this year. So with that, the first item on the agenda.
well, let me just say, 28 years ago, I sat on this court on my first day as the junior member of this court. And today I sat as the ranking member of this court. And 28 years ago it was 4-1, and now it's 1-4. And kept the best one. And anyway, let me just say, perseverance kind of goes a long way. And but the citizens of Dallas County have been served well over these years. The policies, as Shannon intimated, that we'll deal with later on this year, Dallas County is in a good position as a result of good policy and good governance. And while we do a lot in terms of campaigning to get to this point, it's at the end of the day, I think the people expect good governance. As I said, in Washington, they got Crystal Cliff, in District 3, we got Oak Cliff, and then we're gonna make it all work.
That's right. They work it well.
Our clip works here. And so I just want to say that it's work. I expect us to have a great year that the citizens of Dallas County expect, and I believe they respect. So, we reject the stone, and sometimes it becomes the cornerstone. That's just
Along those same lines.
Yes.
Well, good morning. I'm Teresa Daniel, and I'm so proud to be sitting here at this table with the other commissioners, adding my skills and talents to the talents and experience that I already find here. Last Monday, I took an oath of office to do my best for the citizens of Dallas County. And my goal is to do good to the best of my ability, but also with a sense of humor. This job started off exactly as I would have wanted it. I was given 1 day of rest after the election, and then was approached by the good people of the County of Dallas to say, okay, we got stuff to do. And Martin called and said, started giving out my marching orders of how to be ready for this particular job. I did want to say thank you to a lot of people who have welcomed me, starting with all of the commissioners, the judge, Commissioner Price, Cantrell, and Garcia, spending time to say, what is it going to mean to work for Dallas County and for all the people here? There also was a lot of time spent by the variety of people at this front table, the staff who have shown a lot of dedication, and in particular, Darryl Martin, also Ryan Brown, plus just everybody here that are adding their knowledge and experience to make sure that all of us are able to do what we need to do here. So thank you very much for that welcome. I'm looking forward to all of this. I also want to recognize, too, that there are a lot of people in the audience who I've worked with in the past. And you know what? We are not done yet. And so thank you for welcoming me. I look forward to the challenges coming up. We do have a few, but I do know that all the people sitting in this room on the various tables are going to make it a lot easier. And so let's see what we can do. Thank you very much.
And I just want to add on the same thing, I think Commissioner Price framed it real well, about the cycle continues, the cycle of great work that Dallas County has done for many years. You know, the new members that are ready to make the best for everyone in this county. Welcome, Dr.
It'll be a good year.
I'll now recognize Commissioner Cantrell for a very special and important resolution today.
Great. And I also welcome you, Commissioner. And Commissioner Price, I think what I took from that was I need to start persevering in this swing back to square one. I did have an opportunity this morning to visit with Sean Rabb. And, I told him in that interview that, because he wanted to know what's going to be like to be in a 4-1 minority in the court. I told him 90+% of what we do here at the court is dealing strictly with really county issues. We have very little political issues that we come across, and there are going to be differences politically because when we get those political issues, I'm going to vote for my constituents, and the others are going to vote for their constituents. But when it comes to the policy decisions in Dallas County, just like Commissioner Price said, we've sort of been a team. When you look at a county that has the lowest tax rate of any large urban county, AAA bond rating, and going to be debt-free by 2021, something's going right in Dallas County. And we have great staff, and we have a great court, so we'll move forward and continue to operate the way we have. And it's certainly my privilege today to offer a resolution on behalf of Dr. Ron Anderson. And Doctor, if you'll come forward, and everybody that came down here with him, if y'all come up also. I know we have former board members, we have current board members, Cliff, and we have staff, Sharon Phillips, I saw Sharon, okay, y'all come on up, and the foundation part. So. Okay, I'm going to read the resolution, I'll read its adoption. Whereas the Dallas County Commissioners Court takes special notice when a leader in the community has dedicated their life and career to improving and innovating healthcare in the region. Whereas from 1982 to 2011, Dr. Ron Anderson, MD, served as President and CEO of Parkland Health and Hospital System. Born in Chickasaw, Oklahoma, he earned his undergraduate degree at Southwestern State University of Oklahoma, and then his medical degree in 1973 from the University of Oklahoma School of Medicine. After graduation, Dr. Anderson headed to Dallas to begin his internship and residency training at UT Southwestern Medical Center at Parkland Memorial Hospital. During his internship, he met his future wife, Sue Ann Blakely, who was working as an emergency room nurse at the time. Upon completion of his residency training, he was appointed as an associate professor of internal medicine at UT Southwestern in 1976. And 3 years later, he would become the medical director for ambulatory care and emergency services. His leadership abilities and medical skills shaped Dr. Anderson into the ideal candidate to lead Parkland Hospital. And in 1982, at the age of 35, the board of managers chose him to be the public hospital's new CEO. Over the next 3 decades, Dr. Anderson would be a key innovator in the evolving landscape of public health care, and as a national advocate for health care to the indigent and uninsured. His trailblazing efforts allowed him the opportunity to advise policymakers and legislators on health care issues. The culmination of his labor would lead him to serving on the National Health Policy Initiative, which advised the White House, and he helped create transformative state and federal legislation that banned hospitals from patient dumping the uninsured. His dedication to health care and health care improvements have given him the opportunity to continue his career-long crusade by being involved with various committees and organizations. Dr. Anderson has been a past chairman of the Texas Board of Health, member of the Executive Committee of the State Task Force on Energy Care, past chairman of the Dallas-Fort Worth Hospital Council and the Texas Hospital Association, and the co-chair of the Attorney General's Task Force to study not-for-profit hospitals and unsponsored charity care. Whereas Dr. Anderson has a list of awards, honors, and recognition as prominent as his career, and a legacy that will be embodied with the construction of the new Parkland Hospital to be completed in 2015, his leadership was instrumental with the successful bond election that offered $747 million to help fund the new $1.3 billion facility. Now therefore be it resolved that the Dallas County Commissioners Court does hereby recognize and extend sincere appreciation to Dr. Ron Anderson, MD, for his leadership, commitment, and dedication to public health in Dallas County, and further express best wishes and continued success in his future endeavors. And I so move.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
You weren't applauding for you. And you're probably emotional because you didn't think I was second, right? Okay.
Tom, you're a peculiar guy, so, you know, we have, but I want to thank the court for this recognition, Judge and Mike, for Chris, you coming to serve. Mr. Price is the ranking member, you're the newest neophyte, so to speak, but all of you have, and you will have, a lot of experience very quickly, particularly in budget issues. I wanted to thank this community, first of all. What you heard about Ron Anderson is really about the Dallas community. This county is amazing. We've accomplished some things here that most of the places dream about, but they don't ever accomplish. We've done some remarkable things here in this community, I think, that gets a lot of credit for it, and particularly those people who served on the board at Parkland in the past. to the finest people that I've ever met and appointed, serve on the board. They served with dignity. They served ethically. They've been strong moral forces, I think, and overseeing our resources, but also in doing what's needed for the people of Dallas County. And so we couldn't accomplish that in many places where you see a lot of turnover and things like that, and people just don't see these but anything as political jobs. You've seen it as a trust, a moral trust, and they have, and they've really carried out this very well. The second group I really want to thank is our employees. We have 9,000 employees at Parkland, and while we're in interim leadership, we have great interim leadership. We have people dedicated to doing what they're doing, and we have in 30 years I've been there. I mean, the employees have gone beyond and above anything I could have asked for them, and this whole place is filled with servant leaders. We want you to know that. I think that's really important. The relationship with UT Southwestern, sometimes some strains, sometimes we push for more supervision and that sort of thing, but it's a relationship that is probably to be cherished as among big public hospitals in this country who oftentimes don't have a very strong relationship. And it's one that we'll probably need to grow and strengthen more in the future as well. But as I thank people, I would tell you, I didn't get here suddenly. Somebody used to say that the tortoise didn't get on the fence post by itself. And you know, coming to Parkland, you know, I give a lot of thanks to God for just guiding me when I didn't know He was guiding me, and I think that's important. But I would leave a couple of admonitions to you. The work is done by any stretch of the imagination, and what we're doing with CMS is so important to get through that. But Commissioner Price has worked hard on clinics. You're not there yet. We need more capacity. Really need more ambulatory capacity to be distributed. When you read the morning news that we have a problem with the budget and with the clinic out there, if you build it, like we said we would build it and then distribute the rest of it out in the community, you don't have a problem. It can be done over time in your capital budget, not a problem. And that's the model that patients like better. And we need to listen to our patients a little bit about that. But we need more ambulatory capacity, we're at capacity. I say Parkland's at capacity, and it's hard to get in to the clinics now, and that's a barrier. But until that happens, that ER is going to be busier and busier than you can ever imagine. You can't build a big enough one. And I think that's important. But I want to reflect a moment. You have a brand new hospital coming online. You have a computerized medical record. It's one of the best I've ever seen. You're wired for that. You have great support from the Dallas County taxpayers, 82% passage in an election. That's unheard of in a public hospital. You have a good relationship with the medical school. You have all you need as component parts to be a successful public entity, except a couple of things. That's more clinics, the ability to care manage people out in the community along a continuum, and to address disparities in healthcare. We still have lots of disparities in our community, and we need to have, I think, a dedicated look and focus at how we deal with disparities and population needs, not just individual care. There's a real key to health in Dallas County, maybe socioeconomic justice. It may be jobs, it may be opportunities in education, it may be building infrastructure where infrastructure needs to be built. It may not be at Parkland Hospital at all. So I would encourage you to do what Eric Johnson did in the 1960s and have goals for Dallas for health. And have strategic planning start, despite the fact you're building a new hospital, you've got to focus on CMS. You got to be multitasking and look in the future as well. And we've sometimes agreed and sometimes disagreed. Sometimes we've disagreed agreeably and disagreed. But I will tell you, you always gave us the resources we needed to do what was necessary for our patients. And I want to thank the Commissioners Court then for their support for care at Parkland, for the patients at Parkland. They're indebted to you, and many times they can't pay you back. So I want to thank you for that.
Ron, I just want to take this opportunity to say 28 years ago, going into 21, there was something called CLPC that nobody even heard of, and this court didn't even begin to embrace. And as I bought it forward, I remember Jim Jackson told me, said, if you want it, you got it. And you were very supportive. And Louis Flower was born. And I just want to thank you on behalf of the constituents we probably never will get an opportunity to thank you. Thank you for what you've done. As you said, you and I, we've had our arm wrestling, both publicly and privately.
I use my wife when that happens, John, I'll send her out.
But your heart has been in the right place. That's made all the difference in the world. When you talk about public hospitals across this country, as we were looking at what was happening in Los Angeles with Martin Luther King, as we were looking at what was happening in Washington, D.C., I think it was Washington General, it's been a few years. But it was just necessary that we save Park. I think even the privates understand that we owe so much to Park. And I see Mr. Baldwin and Ms. Watson, the foundation. You know, Dallas has been very, very blessed with resources. But more than that, at the end of the day, it's got to be about consciousness. You can have all the resources in the world. If you don't have the kind of mindset and the right consciousness, it makes no difference. So I just want to thank you on behalf of those patients that were being dumped. And today, it's interesting as we change definition. We don't say we're dumping, but they're uninsured, and we've got to figure out how we get them back into the loop. And so I thank you on behalf of the constituency.
Dr. Anderson, I just want to tell you, I've enjoyed serving with you over these past years, and I appreciate your integrity, your passion, your courage, and the legacy that's we behind you. Thank you very much.
I also want to recognize Mr. Alan Wong, former Dallas City Council member and the honor server.
Our next item, which is our consent agenda, your motion on the consent agenda.
So moved.
All those in favor? Next, we reach our formal agenda. Is there a motion on the formal agenda, and we'll take a motion on court orders 10 through 35, and 26.
I'll move court orders 10 through 35. Pulling court order 26.
Excuse me, this is order 25.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, court order 25. Okay, court order 25. Okay.
I just have some comments.
And I want to make sure the record's real clear. Court order 22, Scott has returned to our employ with Mr. Thompson. For purposes of the record, this home storage is in Dallas County. Okay.
And also for the record, because I wanted to also extend on that court order, why is it important, other than the authorizing the vehicle for home address storage, why this position is so important?
Two things. One is
Sure, come forward.
related. Good, Commissioner, the court order before you brought in Scott Salas is to enhance our ability to respond quickly during a West Nile virus outbreak. As Commissioner Price pointed out, Scott, who worked for us a long time at Laughlin, and he's now back with Dallas County. And we want to make sure he has a home storage. He starts out this morning as early as 3 a.m. in the morning on spring activities. He's probably going to be coming back home close to after midnight. So having that home storage is going to be beneficial. Of course, we've got 14 cities that we contract with. We have service calls we have to respond to, and the supervisors, the mosquito control team. So the ability to have that home storage is going to be very beneficial to you. and he lives in Dallas County.
Yeah, I just want that record to be clear.
Personally vouch for his incredible time that this man puts in during those seasons. The hours he puts in, and it benefits us if he doesn't have to drive, to one location, get a truck and go to another.
But the only reason I wanted clarification, because we have a policy on home storage.
Right, that's the-
And so I want to make sure that the record is very clear.
And for me, it was more the job that he's doing, in prevention and education when it comes to West Nile virus.
Right. And it goes back to the other point, which is mosquito tech, that we also have on there as well. Mosquito tech, Scott supervisor, mosquito tech, having this additional person. We normally have 3 staff anyway. This is not anything new. We're going to be adding 1 additional mosquito tech as part of our year-round surveillance activity. So all of this kind of works in concert.
And connecting the dots together, so.
The tech makes it much safer. It costs about $9,000.
Yeah, pretty close.
Just hold there, so let's finish this.
I'm done, that
Okay,
was part of.
no, I just want, I just want, I want to finish the doc, and I want him to deal with this whole, flu piece as chairman of public health. I want to update. Flu, it's not a part of that quarter.
Oh, I got you. She's got some comments on it.
Yeah, I'm going to I'll be abstaining, and this is a continuation of the contract, Judge. When we passed it, I mentioned the lack of minority participation. I'll be abstaining on the quarter number 32. That's it. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, colleagues.
Call the question.
Question has been called. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimously.
With abstaining.
With 1 abstention on 32.
Judge,
Go ahead.
thank you. As chairman of public health, I would ask Mr. Thompson on an update on flu vaccines, the availability, where we are with regards to Dallas County.
Judge Commissioner, you recall, a number of years ago, Dallas County was pretty much the lead agency in terms of flu vaccine delivery. About 8 years ago, pharmacies were allowed to administer the flu vaccine. At that point, you have a lot of venues that are out there that people can connect to. What we found early on is that in September, as early as August, we started our flu campaign. And so in November, the court approved that allowed Dallas County Health and Human Services to provide free flu shots. One of the things we recognized is that we didn't want any barriers for people to get the flu vaccine. What we're dealing with right now is that there's not a vaccine shortage nationally. It's just a low inventory because you try to get as many people vaccinated before the holiday period. And what we found is 2 things. One, the tragic death of the young man in Flower Mound has really increased the awareness of people getting the flu shot. So I really want to commend his family for raising the consciousness to Dallas County and North Texas residents on the importance of getting the flu shots. From that, we've been inundated with people coming in trying to get the flu shots. We have flu shots available. We put another order in for 1,000 doses. Once that arrives, and I hate to give a time frame tomorrow, but I just threw out, we expect it tomorrow. If it doesn't come till Thursday, we'll let everybody know. We expect the shipment on tomorrow. We will gauge whether or not we need to reorder additional doses. The key point I want to make sure is clear that pharmacies have done their ordering for the vaccine. So there may be a limited stock of vaccine out there. Residents need to contact their area pharmacist to check and see if about the vaccine availability. But Dallas County has did our due diligence by 2 things. 1, ordering our vaccine early. 2, offering it for free, which has not been any barriers. I want to commend our nursing staff. They saw over 200 plus people on yesterday for administering the flu vaccine. So clearly, there is a need. We've seen an uptick. Traditionally, our peak period has been late January into February. We're seeing now our peak period starting now. I wouldn't say that we're peaking, but we're seeing our uptick earlier. And so we saw that the last part of December going now into the first part of January. So we're encouraging Dallas County residents, first of all, it's not too late to get the flu shot. They need to get the flu vaccine now. It is available, and we have a limited stock, and again, we expect additional doses on tomorrow. So we have been involved with this campaign, as you know, for a number of years. We pushed the urgency of getting the flu vaccine, but I think the fact that we got two dynamics, one, a recent death here in the North Texas area, and then second, we've seen this uptick earlier nationally, as the CDC has reported. Definitely, we need to get everyone vaccinated to protect not only themselves, but the community.
But we're not the only one, but 41 states, I think, is experiencing this. Unfortunately, the impact seems to be in the South, kind of concentrated. I'm curious, and of course, as I checked yesterday, I think DISD is experiencing some real impact.
We saw early on that the schools got ready to take their break. We saw an uptick in absenteeism in some of the schools. I won't mention a particular one, but we saw it across the board. But one of the things we found is that parents are sending their kids to school. They're sick, and so we're encouraging parents to make sure if their children are sick, to keep them at home. That's what the schools are recommending. Also, even adults who may be coughing and sneezing, practice good cough etiquette with their mouth.
And can you give some of those preventive measures for the
Preventive
regular?
measures, washing your hands, the cough etiquette is something we should practice all year round. But again, if you're gonna cough and sneeze in your hands, immediately wash them or use hand sanitizer. That's a temporary fix.
And the most importantly is stay home.
Stay
You're
home.
very sick.
That's right.
Zach, let me get you to reiterate something, and let me ask you a quick question. It is free to get a vaccine in Dallas County, right?
It is free.
Now, if I were to go to the drugstore, how much would it cost me to get one?
They make sure you $20, $25. Some places offer $15. I will put a picture in. Walgreens has vouchers that they have for low income, but most of the time it's going to cost you between $15 and $25. That's why we began to offer it free, because we recognized that this was going to be an unusual free flu season, so we wanted to make sure it was free.
And although we're momentarily low in inventory, we're expecting to get more in, and we have vaccine today if people want to come in.
We have some in today. I found additional stock from another program that had some in our department. I'm utilizing that, and I expect 1,000 doses. I'll evaluate if we need to order additional ones. It's hard to always judge how much vaccine to order. Last year, if we came to our building back in April, we still saw the free flu shot poster up, so that tells you that we still had a lot in April of last year. I don't think we'll have that problem, but in terms of just gauging how much vaccine is needed, it's always difficult to really know that number.
And the location where they can get.
It's best to come down to our 2377 stimulus location. I'm trying to concentrate all the vaccine to that location. That way, we can know when we run out, and I can easily get the more additional vaccine I'm able to gauge it. But 2377 North Stemmels Freeway, which is the Dallas County Health and Human Services building.
I think that's the Motor City exit, and it's next to the boot store that's perpetually going out of business. It's been going out of business for like 10 years. Zach, one other question. Now it's a light store that's going out of business. Whatever it is,
This is perfectly clocked.
Zach, one other question for you. If a person gets their vaccination today, when will they be maximally protected against the flu?
10 days, 10 days. That's why we encourage to do it early. And so here's the key right now, is that we got two strains, A and B strain, that we're seeing. We don't think that the flu season is going to end anytime soon. So getting the shot today will get you prepared. If you haven't been sick, it'll get you ready to make sure that you're protected as we go forward. So that's the important. It takes 10 days. That's why I wouldn't wait. I would do it today. And children's vaccine, we've got plenty of children's vaccine. That's important. It's free, as well as the adults. As I pointed out, I want to thank the media based on their communication to the public. Again, our waiting room was full, and we had to even turn people away because it was going late in the evening on Jefferson.
It will help you to, if you get sick, to shorten the period.
Take 10 flu or something like that. I don't expect to see this on television, but media friends, that is an important message to please get out. what Zach said. So you want to interview interview the director afterwards, or review some folks from this. We want to get that message out and get those people vaccinated. Because you can be free, and we've got free vaccine. All right, did you have a moment of question for me? Okay, that was it. Okay, let's move on to our briefing session, which consists of items to be considered for a subsequent session. Mr. Martin, will you lead us through the briefing session?
Morning, Judge Commissioners. Item 1, Health and Human Services. 1A, recommend approval of contract services to protect associated with community action agency for the provision of weatherization measures to eligible Encore customers. Item 1B, recommend approval of fiscal year 2012 Ryan part of the supplemental funds and service providers listed at the annual briefing. Item C, recommend approval of Ryan Wright Part A Minority Needs Initiative funds and service providers listed in your attachment. Item D, recommend approval of Ryan Wright Part A formula grant funds and service providers. Item 1E, that closes the formal agenda. And item 1F, recommend approval of 1 maintenance support part-time mosquito technician position for the Environmental Health Division, as Dr. Director Thompson just noted.
And this is the position that we just mentioned, correct? The bilingual position as well for education.
Definitely be focused on that.
Thank you.
Item 2, County Clerk District Clerk, recommend approval and purchase of the Odyssey Civil Automation Phase 2, Civil and District Courts licenses for session works and lead tools. Item 3, County Clerk.
Let me just, because I noticed Mr. Warren is here today, with Mr. Fitzsimmons as well. And when I was reading, the Odyssey Civil Automation Phase 2, it's a great deal for Dallas County. And Mr. Warren, can you, for the record, extend on what this phase is going to take?
Are you referring to 2 or are you referring to 3?
2 and 3.
Basically, what this does, as you know, for welcome back to Daniel, just to bring you up to date with what's happening with regard to the courts. Dallas County is the 9th largest county in the United States. One of the few urban counties, if any, that has digitized all of our courts. So all of our courts, all the courts in Dallas County are papers. And it goes a long way considering there's over 10 million records that we've actually scanned and digitized. This is actually part of my virtual office initiative, as well as I think the district person plan also, to make sure that our records are available, not just from our office location, but any location where we may be. The phase 2 actually gives the judges the ability to actually make notes, because we no longer have paper. Actually give them the ability to make notes as they go through their trials and hearings in court. As well as to make preventive decisions that they made as they review documents that may be submitted for decision without the need for a trial or hearing. That's on number 2. Number 3, the OnBase mobile client. As you know, OnBase is the county's document management system. As we go, the county district clerk's office are moving to Odyssey document management system, and we're actually freeing up all of the licenses that we have that we're using for other departments to use, because other departments will be using OnBase as they eventually migrate onto the system. We've been working with Mr. Ballard as well as Mr. Vickman on making sure that we get this process, this seamless process, and make sure that those licenses are available to the actual people who will be using them in other departments in the county. But what this also does, it gives our judges the ability to actually work away, just like with the civil courts, actually work away from their courts and still be able to carry out the functions of their courts. Which creates a tremendous efficiency, but also
Cost?
Yes, ma'am.
Also the cost.
Actually, if I can elaborate, it's $8,500, but that's an enterprise license. Even though I'm paying for it to benefit my office, it's benefit all of the departments in the county.
Mr. Fitzsimmons, anything?
You want to add?
Add that, and I do want to commend, as I said, on January 1st, I do want to commend what I consider to be some of the best and most progressive administrators that I've seen.
You forget my name.
Yeah, I won't forget your name. Should not call your name.
Well, actually, one of the things that's on, what actually happens is that session works for judges will become available, and this is, we're hoping everybody will use it. So far, the response has been pretty positive for the family court. Your judges are usually county court of law judges have been pretty good about implementing new software. The civil judges, I think, are all pretty much on board. And what this does is it gives the opportunity for an attorney, for example, to buy a subscription and actually get access to all of the records that we keep, the civil county records everywhere. Session Works is actually it contains a portal. It actually contains a consumer portal that can conceivably allow the attorney to schedule his own cases during blocks of time that the judge has designated for anybody who wants to file something. If you've all seen the family courts, particularly on Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, prove-up time. Prove-up times when anybody just walks in with their little petitions and they just kind of do first come, first serve. This actually, it's the same sort of principle, but it's much more organized. It allows the judge to know what's coming up, and they can move through those cases very much quicker. In addition to that, this new implementation is going to allow us to have the possibility of a much easier way to electronically file documents into our courts. As some of you know, Tyler Technologies is now the vendor, is now the provider for Texas statewide e-filing, which they will take over in the third quarter of this year. And they have actually perfected the interface between the state portal that they're going to implement and our Odyssey system here in Dallas County. So there are lots of areas, there's lots of ways that we can move forward and really convert our civil and family courts into a truly digital and paperless environment.
Well, I just want to congratulate you both. I mean, I've been here for 2 years, but I have seen how, you have moved steadily. And hey, it takes leadership to move through all our courts, to our district and our county courts, in the way that you have done it, with efficiency management and working with everyone. And I know that, you work with all of us as well as everybody else, to be able to do this at a very good cost.
We use the Ante system in our criminal courts. We're using it for misdemeanor courts, we're using it for felony courts. We have these licenses, this is some of the licenses that are included for our workflow project. I have not been able to roll out the workflow project to my judges, although he's been able to do that. I've got one judge out of my 17 district judges who's actually willing to use it, and that's Len Lavario. Our pilot judge dropped out, and unfortunately, that has not moved in the way I would have hoped. What I am hoping is that as the consumers, as the attorneys begin to use the workflow product in the county courts at law, they'll put some pressure on the district judges to do the same. That's kind of my hope. I want to make that clear. The workflow product in the district clerk's office is going to be focused on moving paperwork within my office into the district attorney. And I really want to commend the district attorney's appeals section because we work very closely with them, and they have a very proactive and progressive attitude toward technology. And we're going to unveil a workflow product between my office and the appeals section to move everything from writs to any kind of document that goes between my office and the district attorney's appeals section. There's quite a bit of paperwork will be done through an electronic workflow. And we'll be able to do that within my department. So I'm basically refocusing my efforts to accommodate workflow within my office. And it's my hope again when we have ACMS that maybe the district judges will be a little bit more willing to use the electronic resources that we provide.
It's coming.
I knew you had someone in mind.
Well, let me just say that, and I commend both of you because, y'all started the project and never looked back. And you've encountered tremendous opposition at certain stages of that because nobody likes change. Nobody likes to do things differently. So I commend both of them because Dallas County is leading the other counties. And when we get the criminal case management system, I think things will smooth out on that end of it, Gary. So I'm looking forward to it. So thank you for the job well done.
Just for the record, I'm a more convincing clerk than the district.
I can talk directly.
But I would like to add, as you know, the Supreme Court has mandated e-filing effective by January 2014.
Now,
Gary and I both sit on the Judicial Committee on Information Technology, and with our foresight and understanding, what that would mean to Dallas County. If we had not addressed the digitizing of our courts, we would be coming before this court asking for additional staff to actually reproduce all that paper. So now we don't have to do that. We're actually saving the county thousands of dollars.
That's correct. Now, are y'all still in negotiation with Tyler with regards to the ability for attorneys to file at your office electronically?
That's correct. Actually, we had a meeting yesterday, and we have a partnering meeting with the vendor, and I think you're invited. So yeah, that's part of our discussion. That's originally we were going to do the on-base kiosk at criminal courts, but we're really going to do a Tyler Odyssey kiosk at the civil file desk, so the pro se litigants can actually get electronically, it's just one of those little
Candy.
Yeah, they can just put it into the little machine. We've seen a video demo of it. It's pretty cool. It really works like that. It's 80% of the PowerPoint.
In the Supreme Court, you know, JCIT worked with, in an office court, we work with TechShare, the CDC, to get the requirements down for electronic filing on the criminal side.
Right.
That's also been helping, and that's mandated.
Right. Well, we're all excited, actually, the entire judicial process in the District and County Courts of Law will change over 2013. We're going to be ready to rock and roll on January 1st, 2014 with mandated e-filing. But everything, that before, everything is going to change. I know you did a speech last week on electronic filing. We do need a public relations campaign to really get out there because, man, I mean, I still have 2/3 of my attorneys are actually still filing by paper.
Yes.
And so that's a huge amount of folks that are going to have to migrate to the new.
And they've reduced that cost by over half.
So the face of the judicial process is really changing in a big way. So it's an exciting time to be involved.
Exciting. And where we look at?
Thank you so much to both, and I look forward to see you in the second place of content. Thank you.
Item number 3, you heard. Item 4, recommend approval of amended cafeteria plan revision as approved by PEDC for planning in 2013. I need Dr. Taylor.
I couldn't discern why.
I said that.
I read it. I still couldn't discern.
What PEDC is doing is in 2014, January 2014, a year from now, we are looking at the possibility of introducing the health savings account.
So you can add HS.
Yes, we're going to look at adding an HSA account. In order to do that, an employer who implements that, the employee cannot have any remaining funds in a flexible spending account. So those funds must be spent by December 31st. Now, you can still file your claims later, but you have to have the money spent by December 31st. So in order for us to introduce the HSA account next year for our employees, we have to have all funds expended in the flexible spending accounts. That was in our information that was sent out this time, and we will constantly be reminding employees of that this year, that you have to have the money spent by December 31st.
What type of carryover do you have on the HSA?
Under the HSA account, Commissioner, I don't know. I don't know if you have to have that one spent by the 31st.
Well, that's the selling point. I mean, what's the benefit from moving from a flexible account to HSA? I guess that's what, if you're changing how we're going to do this, the employees need to see why we're changing.
Well,
What benefits those HSAs offer above and beyond the flexible.
There's not a decision to change. There are pluses and minuses with an HSA.
Okay.
But under the changes in the healthcare law, there would not be an opportunity for this court to consider HSAs if we had a situation. Well, there would not be an opportunity for participation from our employees if they had money in their accounts on January 1.
Right.
So we got a decision today, but there's no decision unless we follow and make sure the money's out of their accounts.
Right, but I would think that before you make the decision not to, the decision to cut off the employees from being able to extend that into March, that there would be a I just think there needs to be conveyed to the employees the possibility of moving to an HSA and the benefits for doing that.
And that's going to happen, but the consultants have not completed the presentation and that process of what that would actually look like for Dallas County. What they did want to do is that as this is put together and actually introduced to the court, didn't want us adopting something and then employees learn that they only have about 3 months to spend their money. So that's why they were wanting to give them the whole year notice to say, remember, December 31st, you have to have it spent. Then what we're trying to do is set up the option to go to for the court to make the decision about the HSA account. But we can't do it, or if we make the decision later in the year, that just means the employees will have less time to actually spend their funds.
But if you make the decision during the mid-year not to go with an HSA, then
Then-
you can revert back to the March.
No, it's
would
once
just
it's
block
adopted,
everything. Yeah.
once it's adopted. But the goal is to let employees know all your loans, spend your money, spend your money, spend your money by December 31st.
Well, I hope that if you're moving from the flexible pay flex over to HSAs, that there's a real benefit for doing that.
We believe that when the presentation comes to the court, we believe the court will actually see the benefit of the HSA.
And the chief, without the presentation having been done, the chief benefit of the HSA is it's a savings account that can roll, whereas this is a flex spending account. You spend it or lose it. But there are also some limitations that flex has, the HSA does not have. So that's going to be that'd be a court decision to be made once they get their work done and presented.
When they're supposed to deliver that?
We had more preliminary discussions about that over a year ago.
It's part of it was part of their this year's contract.
So
that they're
Towers
working on it. So we Towers Perkins.
I thought it was part of last year's contract.
Well, last year's contract, yes.
Okay.
Item 5, purchasing recommends data management as a firm for award consideration for RFP for mainframe housing solution, authorized staff to proceed with final contract negotiations. Item 6, public works. 6A, recommend approval of modification number 1 to the contract with Aradino, Zepeda, and Bruns for changes to the scope of service for the Denton Drive Paragon Sidewalk project. Item 6B, recommends approval of the construction contract with Ed Bell Construction for the Pleasant Valley Road MCIP from Firewheel Parkway to Richfield Drive. Item 6C, recommends approval of the funding agreement for the state of Texas for pedestrian structures and sidewalks along Loop 354. Item 6D, recommends approval of supplemental agreement governing transportation major improvement projects for Miller Road MCIP from Darling East City limits to Raleigh East City limits with the city of Rowlett. And item 6E, recommend approval of the encroachment agreement with NTTA for the reconstruction of the Merritt Road MCIP. Item 7, planning and development recommends approval of change order 5 for the Grand Prairie Sub Courthouse. Please note that one correction, the addition of 2 corner cabinets are for the JP and the truancy court, not the tax office. Item 8, budget. 8A, you have the conference travel training request. 8B, recommends approval of request to add 3 drug chemists, 2 grade FM positions to the drug analysis laboratory at SWIFS, and recommends the HR Civil Service review the positions for proper classification. And item 8C.
Can you please track that for next year and make sure those are in fact revenue neutral?
Correct. Yes.
I'm sorry, Rich, what did you say?
Revenue neutral.
They should pay for themselves.
There will be some training period,
Yeah,
so there's
so
some costs
not
up
set up.
front, but at an extended period of time, it will be cost control at a minimum.
Right, and I just want to track that.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not going to be because it back, we brought that up before. For the time being, train time now. It's not going to be for the year.
For the year.
Yeah. It's okay, yeah.
And the goal is once they get caught up with the one cases, that if they lose a position, then the backfill those positions will be good, so.
Well, the goal should be that after they're trained, they're revenue neutral. And all of them
Clearly,
know that is
yes.
to track that.
Clearly, from the point in time they are trained and producing at a full capacity, they are revenue neutral to a slight revenue positive. And so, over a period of time, it is definitely a revenue.
Right, but he said next year, and that's all the reason I just wanted to make
Right.
sure.
And I'm not disputing that, I just want to track that. and see.
Absolutely.
Item 8C, recommend approval of inmate landscape and gardening program agreement with Oak Cliff County. Was full, 8C was full. Okay.
What? Motion been
The
done?
sheriff's office wanted to pull it, they're still hammering out the details related to any costs for the entity.
Okay, sounds good. Sheriff, you know, kudos. I know you've been trying to do this program for a while. You know, looks like it's shaping up.
We just have a few minor issues we have to still deal with.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
And Judge, that concludes the briefing agenda.
There's some
They
mileage.
got the mileage reimbursement rate. piece.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we got it. Yeah,
Ms. Links, go ahead.
Technology stuff.
yeah. So let's keep it.
God's talking about reimbursement, but you'd asked to bring that back from December, but Brian introduced
There was a
it.
request for us to review the policy. The policy in our policy and procedures is that we reimburse at the IRS rate. And so there's a request to review policy, which is a good thing. We should review policies periodically all the time. And so we went back, looked at our other peers and determined that they're all reimbursing at the IRS rate. CSCD reimburses at the IRS rate. And CSCD does. The Travis County does, Collin County does. So every county that responded back to my survey reimbursed it at the IRS rate. We looked at the GSA. That if you then plot GSA against the IRS rate, they tend to mirror each other after about 2 months. So I expect the GSA will be changing over to the IRS rate anytime in the next couple of months.
Well, that, and I've seen that as well, but right on the front of GSA's, table says they don't always mirror. And this is just, my question was, the IRS rate, is that number above which the IRS will disallow mileage reimbursement? The GSA rate, is that number that the federal government, with all of its various computations, has decided is the proper rate for it to reimburse its people for their privately owned vehicles. And the delta, if that doesn't occur, is the number you've got in your briefing, plus about $8,000 in other monies that we have fiduciary duty over as, grant money. So, as a court, why would we want, I'm still struggling, why would I want to vote to use the IRS rate when that's not the rate that the federal government, if we're using federal rates, why wouldn't we use the federal reimbursement rate as opposed to the rate that the IRS will allow? It's if it doesn't change, it's about a, $15,000 a year swing for the taxpayers that they'll have to pay more on if you're guessing that they'll change, but if they don't change, then we'll be paying $15,000 more.
We've spent policy that we've used the IRS rate. There is, I will admit, on the payroll side, some complexity.
If it changes mid-year?
If CSCD's at one rate and we're at another rate,
Okay.
and then if you have grants that do a different rate, that you then have to know which rate you're using at every time when you're doing the reimbursement.
On the grants, don't we set the rate?
The grants
No.
grant by policy is the same rate we do general employees. So that the grantors will always want that in place. But if it's a grant that's a CSCD grant, because there are some that are done that way as well, then you do have now one grant using one rate and a different grant using a different rate.
But CSCD rates are not in this budget briefing, so we're talking about a $15,000 swing if it doesn't change for us to make it uniform as opposed to just using the GSA rate.
Correct. If the commissioners could establish a policy and say they want to use the GSA rate, or they want to use the IRS rate. The IRS rate is a more published number. It tends to be the number everybody's using for their income taxes, so that's why it's published and used routinely. The GSA rate is an entity out there that's really just taking a look at all kinds of things. It does hotel rates, it does auto rates, it does a whole bunch of things as it relates to federal employees.
Okay. Well, I hear what you're saying, and I'm not completely convinced yet, but keep explaining to me. I'm just thinking if the federal government's reimbursing the rate, you can explain to me offline a little bit more, maybe a little bit more offline. I'm leaning towards the GSA rate. Unless there is a huge accounting problem, I want to balance that against the $15,000 so we can cost the taxpayers. It's an accounting problem. Okay, we've got a budget brief for next, for 1:30, unless you got something.
Nothing.
We have a budget briefing that is actually posted for 1. It's in your books for 1:30. It's entirely up to the court, 30 minutes, I believe.
I'm with the 1 o'clock post. We're posted at 1.
We're posted at 1 o'clock.
The confusion is historically when we do afternoon briefings, we've used the 1:30. That way, if you had a luncheon event at noon, you can get back in time for a 1:30.
But we have plenty of time this morning.
But
So,
it shouldn't be an issue.
I've got a meeting can we move the meeting up, the NTTA thing, so I can be back at 1 o'clock? But I can't see your head back there, you're nodding at me. Okay,
So 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock is posted for. We're here from 1, we
So those in here is just 1:30.
Yeah, that's what I turned in when I came in, when we posted this back before Christmas.
Okay. So let's shoot for as close to 1 as we can. Unfortunately, I think, I don't know other folks, but today being everybody coming back from holidays, they've got meetings just jammed up right behind one another with our partners on things. That takes us to our speakers. Dale, please read the rules of the forum for our speakers today.
All commissioners' court attendees are hereby advised that this meeting is being conducted in accordance with the provisions of the Dallas County Code, Section 74-71. Visitors or registered speakers are to preserve order, decorum at all times. Personal, profane, or slanderous remarks are not appropriate and will not be allowed at any time during the public meeting. Any and all clauses to be kept brief in observance of time constraints. Disruptive visitors and or registered speakers may be removed and are subject to the penalties provided under Texas State Penal Code Sections 3813, 4201, and 4205. Registered speakers are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and the maximum discussion on any topic is limited to 30 minutes.
All right. And our first speaker today is Ms. Sandra Crenshaw. Ms. Sandra Crenshaw. Ms. Sandra Crenshaw. Not hearing or seeing Ms. Crenshaw, we'll move to our next speaker, Mr. Steve Mathis.
Good morning, Commissioner.
Good morning. Mr. Mathis, as you begin, please just state your name and address, and you'll hear a beep, and when you hear a second series of beeps, 3 minutes later, just finish your thought.
My name is Steve Mathis, 4334 Bryant Street, Dallas, Texas, 75219, 4264 Oakland.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm just here to state some things. I was hospitally housed at the Dallas County Jail recently, and I just wanted to state some things that I found out. I was housed there twice last year, and in your property department, I had some effects come up missing. I thought I would want the commissioners, anyone I could address, to look at the property area of the jail, because I had effects come up missing there twice. The same thing from Diamond River twice came up missing now. And that is one of the things I wanted to address. The second thing I wanted to address was the law library. The county is supposed to have a public law library. It was in the court building, but I don't know where it is now. And the county library doesn't have 2254 or 1983, which are, the 2254 is a real habeas corpus for prisoners. I believe you know that being served. You know what 2254 is. It is a real habeas corpus for prisoners. And in 1983 is a lawsuit, which is federally served. I went to room 1150 at the Earl Cable Building, and I found a lot of letters from the Dallas County Jail to that effect that are not being served, and these writs are not being sent to the county jail. Also, I want to address how you issue out money given to you. When I was released, I got a little card. Now this card, I gave them $1,300 when I went in. When I came out, I got a card. The card, every time I tried to transfer this to my bank account, it never worked. And every time I used the card, it took from $3 to $10, and sometimes $10 off the card every time I used it. It was very time consuming, and it was very expensive to use that card at this time. Other things that I believe that I want to address as far as the court is concerned is, I wanted to address how the law library is used and how people are using it. We're not getting time to use the law library when you're there, and I believe that it could be better used, and the time could be better to serve if people were given more time in the law library, and also it's used differently in different housing areas. In the South Tower, they have a very nice law library, which is used very well stocked. One in the North Tower, not stocked very well at all. I and a partner have decided that we would take these issues on ourselves. I was just coming here to advise you of these issues. Mr. Price, with you being on the court 28 years, I would like to thank you for that. And I also would like to say that I was, with Ron Anderson being here too, I remember when Mr. Price demonstrated in front of Parkland Hospital. Nowadays, he seems to be a little bit less concerned with what's going on in the community. And maybe that's because of his time constraints. So,
Sir, I thank you, but your time is up. You've gone well beyond the needs. I do have a question for you though, and that is this fee that you're being charged, I believe you're being charged on the card, is that both in jail and now that you're out of jail, when you use the card, you think is charging you?
when I got out of jail, they handed me the card. And I used the card and it was like $10. And she didn't even work.
Hold on, Shannon. What they do, the sheriff with that card, that card charge a fee for them to cover their down.
Ms. Ron, I have a conversation, excuse me, I'll have a conversation with Mr. Thomas.
If Carol Thomas is here, if we can address that, we want to have a gentleman sit down.
Yeah, please sit down. I'd like to check into the card fee act, midway for the other. Cheryl, please tell us about the card.
I'm sorry, when they get up.
Okay, the pay card that they get is, it's a debit card. It is a initial card each year they get out. If they have 20 hours of work session or more, they will get out with a debit card. The debit card does not charge any fee. If you go to a retail store, purchase something, you get all your money off the card if you need it. The fee is $1.50 after a week. If the person does not use the card, they just sit on the card, it will charge them a fee.
Well, they want to put the money back in the bank.
All I have to do is swipe it out, pull it off of the ATM machine.
Okay, and there's no charge on that.
Well, they have to pay ATM fee, whatever.
Their bank fee.
Yeah. They have to pay that.
Wait. When you we all discussed it, we talked, I don't recall, the fee for them to be able to get their dollars. I thought it was a booking issue wherein you begin to be able to manage the finances that are coming exiting jail.
Okay, what it allows us is to lower the cash on hand in the jail. Our current cash fund, we are in the process of lowering, about to give it back to the auditor's office. We lowered it about $25,000, so we don't have to get restricted cash. And once we do that, The debit card allows us not to hold that cash in the
I got all of that.
Commissioner, if I may, when they get this card, they may use it at anywhere they want to use to purchase something, there's no fee. If they choose to not use the fee, there's $1.50 that's charged every month. It's standard in that industry for gift cards or the cards of this kind. If they went to an ATM, that their bank has an affiliation with, that would be, they use that for free, then it would be free. If their bank does not have an affiliation with that ATM, then there'd be the standard ATM fees that are charged anytime somebody uses ATM.
Well, first of all, you make an assumption they got a bank.
Right.
No, you know, I know y'all don't believe in canned it's a culture, but let me just tell you, it's his money. He said he didn't give us no bank card, he gave us money. And he should be able to get his money back. You know, I mean, and I got a real problem if they're being charged a fee.
Well, Commissioner, if they go to the cards or have a relationship with the federations of credit unions, if he go to any one of those credit unions, it doesn't have to be his bank. He go to any one of those credit unions and withdraw the money with no fee.
Okay, do we advise him that?
Yes, it has been distributed through the system. It's on the screen, the use of the card. There's also a sheet of where you can contact them.
Where is one next to the, so I just walked out of jail with my debit card, where's the nearest credit union that will give me my money for free?
There's one downtown on Commerce Street, I don't know the exact address.
And another one on Colorado.
That's it.
Well,
They'll give you cash.
Yes.
Without the fee.
But if you go to any other one that is not part of that association, they will get charged with the regular debit card fee.
well, let me suggest that when they get a big bowl and not wrapped in that little card, you tell them, you do this and get your money, okay?
Well, I'll go back and review the system, but I know they do hand and script.
Well, I want to see that, because this is the first one I've heard.
I agree with Commissioner President. I'm not, if in fact you can walk across the street, you can walk 2 blocks, and you get your money back, then I'm not, concerned about the $1.50 a month. But it is bothersome that people will put together money to help out a loved one who's in jail, and then we'll be making money, or somebody's making money off that 6 months later, for the people that are unbanked. Okay, and our last speaker today, I don't see him here, but it's Mr. Carlos. Yeah, there he is. Carlos Humphrey. Oh, and I'm sorry, I'm on the back too. Wayne Wooten, I have forgotten.
Good morning.
Same rules, you state your name, your address, and when you hear that second series of beeps, finish your thought.
My name is Carlos Quintanilla. My address is 421 South White, Dallas, Texas, 75211. I have with me Martha Triggers and Magdalena Perez. Magdalena Perez owns the property that's 3832 Jackson. She's owned this property since 2003. There's a promissory note from Bank of America that's recorded with the Dallas County. It's a $60,000 promissory note. There is a deed of restriction and a lien on the deed. Her property is appraised by Dallas County at $89,000. Yet, the Justice of the Peace and a credit card judgment through Dodeca, which has filed 194 lawsuits in Dallas County for credit card debts resulting from 2004. The particular credit card debt that was filed against her husband was a 2005 credit card debt. In 2010, they go to Justice of the Peace Court and they get a judgment, a default judgment, after posting on the daily commercial record. Her husband was never personally served. He disputes the $1,200 credit card. Dallas County Sheriff then executes a writ of execution, and a $100,000 property belonging to Magdalena Perez is sold by Dallas County for $520. Second case, Martha Triggers is the person who buys her home for $520, and she's at the auction and she buys other properties that also have mortgages, no clean title. And now she's being threatened with lawsuits because Dallas County did not do a proper search on the property and sold these properties for credit card debts that exceeded the statute of limitations. So now she's being sued by the owners. She's being threatened. She loses her home. And how does it happen? How does the Dallas County Sheriff and the constable sell properties? And to add insult to injury, Martha Triggers asked Constable Derek Evans what happens to the debts, if there's any debts on these properties. And Derek Evans says, oh, don't worry about it. They're wiped away. Not only does he tell them they're wiped away, but he gets her in his car and gives her a ride to go cash a check to pay Dallas County. That's bizarre. That's unacceptable. So we're asking for an investigation to determine how she buys property, how she loses property, and how properties are being sold without clean title.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'd like to know what happens to them.
Discussion about
Can we meet with you?
the pending lawsuit.
Pending lawsuit, there's no lawsuits filed.
Yes, you can.
She would like to meet with you, right, Mr. Trigger?
Get with our.
I did meet with him.
Get with our schedulers and schedule a time to talk to.
What would be a good time?
Before we do that, I'd like to make a recommendation that we, let me sit down with the district attorney's office and discuss this before we do anything further with this, because I don't know how involved we are or should be in this process until I talk to the district attorney's office. I make copies of all those documents. I have copies of them. I will sit down with Mrs. Nelson and go through it, and then at that point, I've got his phone number. I will contact Mr. Tiffany.
But you will keep us appraised.
Yes, ma'am.
And necessitating copies.
Yes, and this is also notice, 30-day notice that they're getting affected, and that they have been impaired, and that they've lost their properties.
And if this is your notice to the county of the claims, there's even more reason not to sit down and meet with them.
I need to be with this.
Well, notice it's so being given.
Yeah, and ladies, this is not as your county judge, but just in the interest of transparency. You should find a lawyer. You have valuable legal rights and times that run. And so if you believe your legal rights have been violated or you have an interest in preserving your legal rights, you should talk to a lawyer immediately and take appropriate steps to preserve your legal rights.
And that's going to be done today at 3 o'clock.
Thank you. All right, and that is our, I'm sorry, I forgot to turn the piece of paper over. Is Dwayne Wooten in, please? Dwayne Wooten. Not seeing Ms. Wooten. That concludes our time for public speaking. The court is now recessed for our closed session, so I'll drive that chapter back from one of the Texas government codes previously posted. Any action result in the closed session will take place in the open session. We normally begin our closed session. Begin our closed session.